Greetings, and we are back. This is Genshin-kun, and this is Chaos Head. Last time that we left off was a little while ago. Our main character here, he's not totally sure if it was a dream or not, but he had a run-in with a weird, like, high school girl, and he had a very bad feeling, and he felt like this weird, like, monster Guro hand, or whatever, as he describes it. And okay, how about less talking and more with a visual novel, shall we? People like that aren't human beings. They're just mammals. Mammals. They're just males and females. They don't have a single fragment of social intelligence. Guys like that should go die. Seriously, go off and die. Wow. I forgot how pessimistic this guy is. Is what I keep thinking, but when you go down to it, excuse me. It was pointless to respond to them, so I planned to hastily remove myself from the shopping district. It took me a little out of the way, but after leaving at cafe, it was my routine to stop by the nearby manga Derek or Animite stores. Deciding I would go to Animite today, I headed for the subway's southern entrance. When you come this way, the number of delinquents sharply decreases. The central district was seriously chaotic, and just walking there almost made it hard to breathe. If it were possible, I wouldn't want to take a single step closer. I want it all to get destroyed, leaving behind only at cafe and manga Derek. Now then, I'll trawl through the comics and doujinshi today as well. Ah, come to think of it, pre-orders for the 5th Barachu DVD should be opening soon, shouldn't they? Before I knew it, I was staying on the narrow street in the Maruyama area that I was always used to get back to my base for Animite. I blinked multiple times. I took a peek inside my bag. Several textbooks and a gaming-enabled cell phone were the only things inside. I hadn't bought anything at Animite today. Excuse me. Despite the fact that I always buy something there without fail. I let out a sigh and began walking again. From here, it would take less than 15 minutes to get back to my base. Merely moving a little ways from the station was enough to make the dazzling lights and neon vanish, and the presence of other people grow scarce. If I had to put it one way or the other, it wasn't very active. At most, I saw middle-aged couples on their way to the hotel district, and once in a while, a salaryman returning to his nearby home. I had a hard time thinking that it was the same Shibuya as the shopping district, which overflowed with those delinquents. It seemed that clouds had come out now that it was night, and the moon was hidden from view, making the road darker than usual. Familiar scenery, a filthy street. Yet I was attacked by a peculiar sensation that I had gotten lost in a different world altogether. Although the scenery itself hasn't changed, it was as if I were setting foot in this place for the first time. Also, the rotten stench of raw garbage was floating in the air. Seeping moisture that clung to my skin was enough to make me mistakenly think it was raining. The air seemed to pace itself to me. When was again referring to? When had I previously experienced... does it mean deja vu? Jameis view? Damn it! Reality and my delusions were getting mixed together. Now my thoughts were starting to resemble the stereotypical analysis offered by a sketchy expert on TV variety show, weren't they? Anyway, I was certainly experiencing, he means deja vu, I think. Or is that how you pronounce... I don't know how to pronounce this! At this moment. And that wasn't all. That prickling along the muscles of my neck, the sensation that some... Oh, creepy music gonna come up, folks. That sensation that someone looking down on me from the heavens. It wasn't an hallucination. No matter how I sped up my pace, the gaze followed me wherever I went. Right now, someone was definitely watching me. The presence of the gaze was just that strong. Yeah, I feel like, you know, that like, what was it, Sixth Sense? That you know the odd feeling when you feel like someone's staring at you, and they are. It's like a sixth sense for humans, sort of. Or a very high intuition. I wanted to turn around, but in the end I didn't. This was a game I challenged myself with once in a while. When I heard some small noise, even if I had the feeling that someone was watching me, I played the "it'll take more than that to make me turn around" game. If I turned around, I would lose. The visions that usually appeared in my head when I sensed the gaze were ghosts with horrifying faces, monsters, things like that. Please don't do that, dude. Well, whatever the case, in these past 17 years, there wasn't a single instance of me turning around and actually finding something there. Watch, he's gonna turn around now. With that limited guarantee of safety attached to it, I came to enjoy the single-player mental game. God, you guys, this guy's... I would listen carefully to the wind, raise one eyebrow, and make a dubious face, try saying manga-esque lines. Because the reason I didn't turn around wasn't because I was scared or anything. I meant to make an urgent show of my non-chancelence, but before I realized it, my feet had stopped. Sensing a faint alteration in the strained air, I cowered at some point. My face had become soaked with sweat, and my knees seemed about to start knocking. Unable to bear it any longer, oh god. I turned around. I lost the game, but there was no one behind me. After all, there weren't even cars passing. Thank you. That was a perfect moment for a jump scare, but you didn't do it. Thank you, Nitro. What was the sense of displacement? Oh, good. Okay, I don't know if you guys were noticing this, but there was like this weird ringing noise, and now it's finally gone. Anyway. The ringing in my ears stopped. Oh, okay, so that was on purpose. I wasn't just being crazy. Okay. It wasn't just me. I noticed the sound only when it stopped. Up until then, I'd been hearing the sound like my ears were ringing. Yeah, so was I, dude. It was very annoying. Good job, Nitro, for trolling us. Or whoever made this game. What was it, 5GMB? Yeah, whoever made this game, good job. Troll. Up until then, I had completely failed to recognize the fact that they were ringing. Fans translation, everyone. And now I heard nothing. A silence so sudden it seemed like a lie, especially smacked in the middle of a city. I had a feeling that I should be able to hear any sounds out there with incredible clarity. I shut my eyes tight and focused on my hearing. Okay, but of course I hear nothing. God, perfect jump scare moments, and they don't do anything. Strange. This was really strange. Normally I surely hear things like trains running in the distance and horns beeping. Why? Had something gone wrong with my ears? I wanted to shout out loud. I felt like I was going crazy, but I couldn't do it. It was too quiet, and the thought that breaking the silence might bring about something terrible made me hesitate. Single sound unexpectedly entered my soundless world. Oh dear. When I glanced at the end of the dirty road lay fallen numerous shining somethings. They were strewn about to cover the asphalt. Crosses? The instant I recognized them as such, my feet, which before had refused so much as twitch, spontaneously stepped forward. Upon picking up one of the scattered crosses, I found that it was made of metal, and its lengthy point sharpened into something like a needle. A stake or a nail? Because it was shaped strangely, I had mistaken it for a cross. I felt buoyant as I gripped the stake in my hand. I could hear it, the soft, resounding sound of something or other, a chilly sound, one that made my muscles of my back freeze up. It came to me at intervals. My feet wouldn't stop. I continued walking as though my consciousness were being sucked into the sound's direction. Was I being driven by morbid curiosity? Or was it because I wanted someone to save me? Because I wanted to be lifted out of that soundless world? This was turning out almost like a German folktale. Huh. How did it go? That's right. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. Over 100 children were lured away by the sound of his pipe. The sound didn't stop. The unpleasant sound of something being hammered grew closer and closer as I continued forward. The sound was coming from the depths of a narrow alleyway to my left. If I turned a corner, I would discover its source. Pardon me. Anyway. Why didn't I think of drawing back? The idea didn't even occur to me. It was as though I was being made to move by something outside of me. So I turned the corner, and what leapt into my eyes was filling up out of the darkness a brilliant red. Oh. Okay. That's kind of messed up. My first reaction was to think I've seen this object art somewhere before that, and it doesn't look real. My God, it's getting louder. Some of the screws holding together my heart might have gone and blasted away. My senses might have gone numb. If I were my usual self, terror would have made me let out a panic scream, collapse, and urinate on the spot. An object art like a hedgehog or a bunch of flower arranging needles. My red stakes kept it stuck to the wall. As I gazed mindlessly at it, I realized that a huge quantity of red blood was flowing from the mountain of stakes. The brilliant red I initially seen was a puddle of blood, lit by the weakened light of the street lamps that just barely reached it. The red let off a slick luster. Moreover, a bunch of shiny flesh-like lumps that I couldn't identify were lying around. I started to suck in my breath, but at some point my throat had dried up, and not a single drop of saliva ran down it. I had realized that the thing pinned by the stakes was a human corpse. It was done to immolate, too mercilessly, too thoroughly, and the one who had done so, the one who had driven this many stakes into the concrete, was a single girl. If I were to say how I knew that. Because a girl gripping a bundle of stakes with her scarlet-painted hands was at this very moment standing still in front of the object d'art. Since her back was facing me, I couldn't tell what kind of expression she was making, but the uniform she wore was from Sume. The rotten garbage-like smell I had sensed earlier reached my nose more and more vividly, making nausea come at me in intervals. Unable to tolerate it, I covered my mouth and struggled to keep my stomach acid from bursting out. At that point, I finally remembered the origin of my Jameis Vu, deja vu, whatever, is Jameis Vu. Jameis Vu, I gotta look that up. The feeling that I had seen this somewhere before. Oh God. I raised my voice without meaning to, without realizing that, that action was fatal. The sound of my voice, her blood-dyed shoulders shivered, and she slowly turned to face me. Her gaze was pierced through me, such dark eyes. She had killed somebody. Uh-oh. She looked at me with widening eyes, as though shocked, then shifted to a tearful smile and squeezed her voice out. She murmured, "Glad? What was there to be glad about? More importantly, in a situation like this, why would she see me and smile?" Her meaning was unclear. It was unclear that something cold ran down my spine. I hastily averted my eyes. I reflexively thought, I don't want to get caught up in anything weird. I couldn't talk to real girls while looking them in the eyes, and even setting that aside, she was unmistakably a murderer. The police would come soon, and I was hungry. Right, that's why I should go home. I should leave right this second. If not, I'll go insane. She abruptly called my name, even though it was the first time we met, and I hadn't given her my name. As she watched me, her lips twisted in a horrifically fearless smile, like those of a demon. I screamed. While screaming, I ran blindly. I went on yelling, even as it became hard to breathe, and whatever happened, I desperately kept running. I turned just once to look behind me, but she hadn't come chasing after me. Okay, that was weird. Whew. I was getting a little creeped out. I was running out of air. I could hear my own painful, ragged breathing. I was sitting in front of my PC monitor. My whole body was drenched in sweat, and it was soaked through to my clothes. What had happened just now? Had I imagined it? I was about to lose control of my nausea. To suppress it, I took some Coke out of the fridge and poured it in my mouth. It was a very real seeming delusion, if I do say so myself, but way too girl. I still couldn't catch my breath. Would a delusion leave me without enough air? Like, hell it would. Something about my right hand felt out of place. I was gripping my fist so tightly that my fingers turned white. Had I been unaware I was doing it? My heart pounding, I relaxed my muscles and slowly opened my hand. Let me guess he still has the cross in his hand. Oh, God. Called it. A single stake rested on the palm of my hand. Frightened, I flung it at the wall. A stake from before. I had definitely picked one up out of the stakes strewn across the street. But why was it here? Hadn't that been a hallucination? I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. This is impossible. That's impossible. That's impossible. Hugging my head, I stumbled aimlessly around my room for starters. I had to find out whether the ghastly scene I witnessed just a little while ago had been reality or a product of my delusions. Or so I thought, but I stepped on a CD case that had fallen on my floor and my foot slipped. I reached out, seeking something to grab onto so as to keep me from myself from falling. What I grasped was at the edge of the shelf where my wives were lined up. Shit, I thought, but it was already too late. Unable to sort myself, I collapsed on the floor. Above my pretty arranged figures came pouring down in huge numbers. Ugh, damn it. That was bad as it got. Everything was at its absolute worst. I stood up groaning and checked to see whether my figures were safe. It had broken nearly in half, despite the fact that I bought this in an online auction at a premium price. I tried to sort of piece the sword back together, but even if I could line up the broken parts, it would be impossible to completely restore it with this. It had lost all its value. Pissed off, I kicked my chair, my eyes welled in with tears. Why did this kind of thing have to happen to me? When did I ever do anything wrong? Plopping heartbrokenly in place, I spent some time looking at my wordless, swordless Ignis and getting depressed. Excuse me. I burped. Oh, that was weird. When the storm of rage confusion finished passing through me, her face and tableau of the object of art finally rose up at the back of my brain. The fact that I still had the stake means it had been a reality, not my imagination. I didn't want to, but I had no choice but to acknowledge it. Tomorrow, no doubt, the mass media would be in an uproar. I definitely didn't want to get wrapped up in something like this. Make no mistake, I'd be ruined if I got involved with someone like her. No, rather with that demon. I was already well on the way to self-destruction to begin with, because I brought home a deadly weapon, a precious piece of evidence. It wouldn't be odd. Okay, excuse me. Typo. It wouldn't be odd for people to suspect me of being the perpetrator. On top of it all, the demon had seen my face. I couldn't run away from this whole affair. Next time, the demon would come after me. For now, I should put my thoughts in order. For my own sake, for the sake of surviving, I had to get organized. Excuse me. If not, there was no way she would duplicate the killing method so faithfully. That girl must have begun by using composite photos to meticulously simulate the scene of the crime, and then on to the crime itself, although she probably called it her work of art. That's what it means to be a psycho. She must have tried to carry everything out to perfection.
頭がおかしいよ。でもどうしてそれを僕に。そもそもあの女はナイトハルトが僕だってどうやって知った。僕の名前をどうやって知った。
Huh, what should I do? That demon would come to kill me soon. I knew it. If she knew my name and email, there was a strong chance that she also found out my address. Seated in my chair, I hugged my knees and buried my face in them. And the abnormal killing method I seen yesterday, when I thought that I might be killed the same way, I couldn't keep my cool in the slightest. Trippy. Oh! He's going to his happy place. Saratan lay in front of my monitor and smiled at me. Sure thing. Whatever you say, figment of my imagination. Okie dokie. Mm-hmm. I don't know who says that. I heard run away to fight another day. To live and fight another day. But not never running away. Another way of winning. Meh. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well said, as expected from a wife of mine. Facing forward, I gently picked up Saratan by her slender waist. No matter how close I brought her to my face, she kept smiling without making a single expression of disgust. I won't trust in anyone. I won't listen to anyone. I'll be wary of everything about the third dimension, do all that, and things would turn out okay. You know, my dad says it's okay to talk to yourself, but when there's a voice that answers back, that's a problem. And this guy clearly has a problem. Because it's certainly answering back to him. That voice in his head. Be wary of everything about the third dimension, do all that, and things would turn okay. And his creepy little laugh. A clear voice resounded late at night in Miyashita Park. I pedestrian bridge running across Meiji Highway. Cars pass incessantly beneath it. Leaning against the bridge railing and showing no sign of being disturbed by the noise of traffic, the girl they called FES was singing. Fess. There wasn't a single spectator if she sang in the streets. Over 100 people would stop, wanting to hear more of her voice. But now Fess was deliberately peacefully letting her existence melt away into the curtain of the night. Excuse me. Your song's hitting a little close to home, Fess. A little too close to home with what we just experienced. A little too close. She was content to simply stand quietly here in this place. By doing so, she might become one with the darkness and be released, if only for a second, from the tainted air of the city called Shibuya. This was the feeling Fess had. Fess glanced up at the night sky. The clouds that previously covered it in its entirety were clearing up little by little, and a trace of moonlight shone through them. But the stars' hesitant winking was erased by Shibuya's blazing city lights. Fess closed her mouth and slowly raised her head toward the sky. Roughly a day later, I was still immersed in Blaze Land, depriving myself of time to eat. I single-mindedly focused on erasing Nishiju Takumi and existence as Night Heart. In ESO, I was a god. There was no need to be frightened by demons. Everyone revered me. I always thought about how wonderful it would be if I could stay forever in such a comforting world. Having got my paws on an ultra-rare item, Wow, that's getting annoying. I'm searching forever. I was in hyper mode. My depression had been completely blown away. I'm telling you, an Angel Halo's phantasmical item with a drop rate of 0.0001%. Its only effect is to change your character's appearance, and it doesn't have any practice use. But on the flip side, since those around you could tell at a glance if you had one, he'd be the object of many envious stares. Excuse me. God, I got sniffles. What a racket. What a racket. What a racket. Who the heck is pounding at my door? So much for wallowing in my joys, snagging a rare item. Don't get in my way. That voice. I became dejected the second I heard the familiar voice. No doubt about it, the voice owner, the assassin sent out by my parents. My little sister, Nanami. This is going to be a headache. Shit. A stormy period of time was about to start. I really didn't want to open it. If I didn't, she'd run back to my parents and they'd tell me, "You should give up on living alone. After all, come back home." This building's owner was by large my dad, so he could put enough pressure on me to chase me out without so much as breaking a sweat. It doesn't get any more unreasonable than this. Shut up! Don't wail so loud! She was still violently banging on the door from the outside. The walls of my container housing were made up of single sheet of iron plating, so the sounds echoed around the room to an amazing extent. She knew that and was doing it on purpose. Helpless, I released the inner padlock and opened the door. I'm here to confirm your survival. This lolly body runt is my little sister, 1 year younger. Every time we see each other, she starts complaining. As could be seen from how she stood with her hands on her hips and her head thrown back. She's a cheeky little brat. Excuse me. Her existence brought me 100 disadvantages and not one bit of benefit. Nanami hopped on an inside without obtaining my consent. It's because she's my little sister and she gets ahead of herself like this. When I see those guys who mow over little sister types, I want to tell them at the top of my lungs, "You gotta battle with the reality of it." Well, sister or not, I don't think she had a bad face. Her kind of childish-looking face might be smacked in the strike zone for lolly lovers. As her blood-related brother, though, none of that mattered. Rather, it made me think of her as being babyish. No way would I fap to her. Ah, by the way, I don't mind lolly types as long as they are 2D. Hehehe. You yourself don't show your brother an ounce of respect. Besides, no one asked you to come to check on my survival. Let me just check something real quick. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I think I'll end it here for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be recording more Steins Gate and more Chaos Head, and I'll probably be recording Pokemon Sage right after this, along with Wada Nohara, I can't pronounce it. Wada Nohara and the Great Blue Sea right after this. I'm repeating myself now. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, sayonara.